Hey guys, it's Slim here. Just watched Raw last night. I'm going to do my review now. It's going to be a speedy review. That's how I plan on doing these. I don't want to spend a whole podcast length on these. But what you're looking at is I'm going to break it down in segments and talk about each segment and how I feel about it, or how much I hated it, how much I liked it, how it contributed to the story, so on and so forth. So without further ado, let me pull up my notes right here. We'll begin with the opening segment. So the surprising part about all this is Seth Rollins actually addressed the Roman Reigns suspension, and I thought that was unexpected. I didn't see that coming. I thought they may just leave it under the rug, and I think it's really the right thing to do to address it in some capacity, because having someone off TV for a whole month and then just bring them back into the match all of a sudden seems very irregular. It doesn't contribute to the story. It just makes the whole match seem a little more awkward when you're going to be watching it. So the other thing I might question is Vince McMahon angry with Roman? Does he plan on having some type of punishment after the suspension? Because for him to bring it up and Seth Rollins to basically mock him, while it is important to note that Dean Ambrose did defend him later, it just makes me wonder, is Vinnie Mac wanting to really let Roman know that he's disappointed with him and so on and so forth? But apart from Seth Rollins, he mocks Roman Reigns, says he shouldn't be a part of the match, says it should be a singles match between Ambrose and himself. Ambrose comes out, defends Reigns, says it was a mistake. We all make mistakes, and granted, we can understand that. And then you have AJ Styles come out saying that he wants to either replace Roman Reigns or be added into a fatal four-way. He deserves it. He wants into the match. He comes out to actually a surprisingly big pop. I was happy to see that. The crowd was dead for the most part. There were a few pops we'll get into later, but that was one of them. John Cena comes out, says he should be added into a fatal five-way match. So Stephanie comes out and says, you know, AJ, you fight Dean Ambrose. Cena, you fight Seth Rollins. And whoever wins their respective matches will be placed into that match at Battleground. Now, I think from this very moment, everyone should have already known what was going to happen. You know they're going to get their Cena versus AJ trilogy in. They want that. They want that to finish at SummerSlam, and that's how they want to do it. I think it's very obvious. You know, it was just a false hope, given that they may try to mess around with the situation, given Reigns' suspension. But I think I knew what was going to happen. I think most of the viewers probably knew. Anyone who thought about it knew what was going to happen, and so, unfortunately, like much of Raw has been, or just the WWE in general for the most part, predictable. Very predictable, and that's disappointing. So the highlight reel happens. Jericho he's golden, as always. He's an amazing heel. He does great work. I like his character now because you have someone like, say, The Miz, where he's an annoying character. He's just naturally annoying, and he just plays that annoying character, and some people don't like him because of that, and that's okay. But with Jericho, it seems like he knows he's over the top. He knows it's calling someone a stupid idiot 5 times in one conversation is just a little over the top. It's comedic more than anything. It's funny, and Jericho does such a good job at that. But he has his highlight reel, and he wants to bring out Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, who he says are tearing their own careers apart. And then you have Jericho, who says that their feud has also negatively affected him. So what he wants is them to end it. So they come out. What I really like is, you know, they have this is an eternal feud between former best friends turned bitter enemies. And while Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn have remarkable chemistry, and they will put on a great match every week if you let them, that can only go on so long. You know, this is an eternal feud. They may never like each other, and that's okay. You have a lot of superstars who do that, but that doesn't mean the feud itself has to continue over and over and over yearly, 2 times a year, 3 times a year. So I'm happy that it may be coming to an end. Maybe they will be drafted to different rosters during the SmackDown draft. Maybe I could see that. I think so. I think you can have Sami Zayn on Raw. I think Kevin Owens fits SmackDown better, personally. I think I could see him becoming a top heel on SmackDown, but we'll have to see about that. But like I was getting at, I really like the friend dynamic, that they're really bringing it in, where in some small way, I think you can even understand Kevin Owens' frustration that he felt like Sammy wasn't happy for him because for Kevin Owens to get what he wanted, he had to take it away from Sammy, and I think that's a decent storyline. I mean, that's kind of what their whole feud has been the entire time. I get that, but it's never been addressed so much like that since they've been in WWE. So I'm happy to see that, and this is probably, if not the best segment, one of the best. So I mean, of course, Enzo's great on the mic. He does his normal spiel, but this entire bit was, what was the point? I don't. Why, Enzo and Cass, they're already established. They don't need squash matches. That's for, say, the Apollo Crews who just come in, and even then they get boring once they do them week in and week out. Squash matches should stay to a minimum, especially when you have a tag team that people already love, that people already know can win matches. What's the point? I don't understand. And then you have the social outcasts. Why is this? Was this either just some stupid segment with dick jokes, or was this a segment setting up a feud between the two? A social outcast versus Enzo and Cass? I don't think anyone really wants to see that. And that brings me to my next point. You have, so the New Day's busy with the White family. We'll get onto their segment later. And that's truly about it. That's as far as it goes. So while in some ways I'm excited about a draft because I think it can let superstars like even Cesaro and Sammy break into the main event scene on their respective rosters, I completely agree with the worries that they don't have what it takes to do this, to split the rosters and have two independent shows, one that runs 3 hours, a god-awful 3 hours, and SmackDown, which 2 hours can work. It's been proven. Hopefully they don't fall back into all the problems they had with the previous draft. It can work, but there's one division that is going to suffer because of it. It's the tag team division. There's not enough there. There's not. You can bring Jordan and Gable on, but that's not enough. What heel tag teams are there? They have the Wyatt family right now, but what? Typically, they're not even relegated to the tag team division. Typically, it's Bray Wyatt doing whatever he does with the Wyatt family beside him. So the fact they're getting involved is a little different. Maybe they could take the champions, and I'm okay with that. But they're not always there for the tag team division. You had the Vaudevillains. They're great. I think there's a lot of potential with them. I don't think WWE is going to use them correctly, and it's just not going to go well for them. So the tag team division is going to suffer. So this feud, there was some skepticism when it first happened. There are a lot of people saying, "Oh no, the New Day are going to take that seriousness and that fear mongering away from the Wyatt family and make them look like a joke." And I kind of liked this one at first. I had hopes for this. I really did. And I'm happy to see it's gone pretty decent. I'm interested. I'm intrigued. I'm invested. So, and that's the three things you need in RAW. You need to be interested, intrigued, and invested. Okay. So, what they've done at first, so they've allowed the Wyatts to remain intimidating, but also the New Day can have fun with it. New Day have great segments. They're probably the most over act in the entire company. It's worked out very well for them. The Wyatts are beloved. Bray Wyatt has taken his character and he has ran with it. He is a great talker. He's a great wrestler. He has so much potential, and he's someone else who can benefit from this brand split potentially. And I'm with you. I don't trust WWE as much as I want to, but there is potential there. And so the Xavier Woods thing is when he first got into a trance and started walking toward them instead of his WWE World Tag Team Champion, I thought it was he was just joking around or something, but it's something they're pushing, they're playing on it. So where's that gonna go? Is Xavier Woods going to cost the New Day the match and the titles, be it accidentally by becoming afraid or being entranced or something, or intentionally by giving in to the ideology of the Wyatt family? I'm not sure. There's potential. I don't want to see the New Day split. That would be the worst possible situation. So having him give in to the Wyatt family, and there's some speculation he'll become a member of the Wyatt family. God, no, please no, don't do that. I mean, Bray Wyatt clearly seems to know that Xavier Woods, based on this promo, is flirting with the idea of what the or with either giving in to the Wyatts, subscribing to their beliefs, or just being afraid of them in general. So, or is it? So I have to question: is it real? Is he faking? Is this going to come back to haunt Bray in the championship match? Is it all a trick? Is it everyone's going to pretend to give in to Bray and then cost them the match and help the New Day win? I don't know where this is going to go. I've liked this feud. This may be, maybe the most intriguing feud going on right now. Maybe. There's potential, and I'm really happy about it. I wonder if it's going to end just after Battleground. We'll see what the draft does. The draft is really... the draft is before Battleground, if I'm not mistaken, so... hopefully they don't give away too much with the draft for the upcoming pay-per-view. I know it's Battleground. I know no one's clamoring to go see it. But please don't. But if you did split up the New Day, then we obviously know what's going to happen. The New Day doesn't need to split up. They're over as possible, and their merchandise is killing it. And that's the one big thing Vince cares about, obviously, is merchandise. If you're selling merchandise, you're up there. You're selling merchandise, AJ Styles gets to fight Roman Reigns. That's how this all happens. So I don't see them getting split up. There's a sliver of fear in my heart, but I can't foresee it. So this was a solid match. Unfortunately, it suffered from an incredibly, like I said, predictable, just too predictable ending. Now the match allowed Seth to look strong, but I wish it didn't look like he needed to be saved. AJ came out and saved him, and I didn't like that. I wish it would have been kind of in dead heat. You had Seth Rollins go over Roman Reigns clean. If he can do that, if he can beat Sami Zayn the week before, if he can do this, you can have him look very good against John Cena. So, I just have to wonder why they didn't have him in the middle of a match. Maybe there's a big move hit, and they both go down, something like that, and then AJ comes in, and it costs John Cena the match. That way there's no, John Cena was going to win if AJ didn't come out. That way it helps Seth Rollins look good, and Seth Rollins needs to stop being booked as a cowardly champion. He has potential. He can be a champion who can win as a heel, and that's what they need. So even if John Cena was, implied to win the match, they didn't need it to look like he needed to be saved. Obviously, the club interrupted, like I said, very predictable. And then AJ and Cena, their trilogy is going to continue. Cena's going to pick up a clean win, or, not clean win, but I feel the club's probably going to interfere, and he's going to overcome, because that's what Cena does. And he's going to pick up that win at Battleground. And then at SummerSlam, I pray to the gods they let AJ go over clean. That is the right business decision. It is the right thing to do. But I know WWE, and I don't know if that's going to happen. I highly doubt it, but I'd love to see it. Not really. That's a lie, isn't it? And that didn't happen. You get to see Summer Rae in the ring and her theme music, and so eventually, Becky Lynch comes out, does her entrance, and then she attacks Natalya, who is doing guest commentary. And they're both solid workers. Becky Lynch, Natalya, both very good. But what's the motivation for this feud? It doesn't make any sense. And if you heard the commentary, Natalya did the commentary. And she seemed dumbfounded by even the simple questions Michael Cole asked. She was not ready for this. She constantly just said, "It's time for change. I'm tired of the miscommunications." So then when Michael Cole proposed, "Why did you attack her backstage then, if it's not just about you wanting to change things?" And she kind of just stumbled, and she goes, "Did you ever think it's time for a change? You'd think about that." And I think that right there proved that the writers, nor Natalya, probably not Becky Lynch, know what the real motivation is for this. They don't know where this is going to go. They don't know what the benefit of it is. And they don't even understand why she did her heel turn, other than the fact they wanted Becky Lynch to probably have a feud with someone, and they said, "Oh, well, we can turn her heel." So I was actually at the gym, and I was done with my workout. And I was like, "Oh, wow, The Miz versus a mystery opponent. This is interesting. Is it going to be an NXT call-up? Could it be even a returning legend like they're rumored?" And so I stayed. I stayed past my workout. I sat there. I was like, "I'm going to watch this and see." And they have him come out, and Kane's flames spark up, and it was just incredibly disappointing. No one wanted to see Kane, and the Demon Kane shtick. It's not impactful. It's not scary. It's not provoking. It's not intimidating. It's useless. It's useless. And to have him come out against the Miz, I don't. They are just they're bending their fans over, and they're them right in the ass. They are. They know. They know they're going to be disappointed with that. I don't anybody in the world. I'm not a grade A writer. I enjoy writing some things, but I would know what that entails right there, and what that decision would do to a crowd. It was so upsetting. And then the match was nothing. And the ending was atrocious. Maurice faking an injury. And there's two things you do here. Okay, two good things. You could legitimize Miz with a clean win. Probably not going to happen. He's always been booked like a coward, like a loser. So I didn't see that coming. But hey, this is your chance. Kane has nothing to gain from this. Let Miz legitimize himself. That way, when Cesaro beats him down the road, or whoever is going to finally beat him, they look like they have some legitimizing themselves. You legitimize Miz with a victory against Kane, then you legitimize whoever beats Miz for the championship in the future. And that didn't happen either. The other option is Kane could become the champion. Don't agree with this. I think it would have been better than the ending we did get, obviously. But he could just become a transitional champion. That way you have a face who, or maybe a heel. I don't even know what Demon Kane is. Whoever's going to beat him for the champion looks kind of strong, but nobody cares about Kane anymore, so it's useless. You know, he's old. He doesn't put on terrible matches. You know, he still has a ring presence. He still understands wrestling, and Glenn Jacobs is a fantastic person. But eventually, your character dwindles. You dwindle. Your in-ring performance dwindles, and you have no place being there. I would have loved to see a Finn Balor, or really anyone from NXT, just to be fair, but that didn't happen. I wasn't expecting Finn Balor or anyone like that, but the hopes were there. The hopes were here for this, because I was like, wow, Mr. Opponent, this could be big Kane. And everything I hoped for dropped. What a piece of shit. Oh, my God. WWE was going to give me an aneurysm. I'm going to die one day just watching them from pure frustration sometimes. Like I said, this Raw, piece of garbage, pretty much. A few shining moments, but it did nothing. It did nothing. It was a waste of time. I just... It's a decent match. You have Apollo Crews and Cesaro. They're both great in-ring performers. Alberto Del Rio, I think, is very underrated as a performer himself. Sheamus is decent, but he serves a purpose. He's not terrible. He's not outright terrible anyway. But it ends with Alberto Del Rio tagging Sheamus with an enziguri. And the crowd popped for this. I mean, I was shocked. And I think a face turn would probably be best for Alberto Del Rio. He has potential to be a mid-card mainstay, I think. So I don't see him as a main event player, even though supposedly backstage that's what he was promised, signing back to WWE. So if he gets frustrated with that, he's not suited for that. It's time to move past that. He could be mid-card, though. I can see that. So like I said, Apollo Crews, great in-ring performer, but even with this match, he's still yet to show any character. There's been no development with him so far. He's the same. His gimmick is he smiles. You know, what kind of gimmick is this? I don't. You never excel from just being an athlete. That's not what pushes you further, and that's not his fault. It's the writers don't know what they're doing with him, and he's gonna suffer. He's gonna suffer bad because of it. So my question with this is, if Alberto Del Rio is turning face, which I couldn't really gauge if he was or not, is this gonna push a Alberto Del Rio Sheamus rivalry? There we go. Said it right. And so where's Cesaro headed? Apollo Crews has that question mark above him too, but he could still be involved with Sheamus somehow. Where's Cesaro gonna go? What's up with him? Is there a plan for him? It kind of worries me a little bit. With such a great talent, you'd think you would have a clear-cut path to where he's gonna end up, and they didn't. Titus O'Neil versus Rusev. It's a boring feud. Um, I think everyone's happy to see Titus get some screen time in general since his suspension, but the feud is just pointless. Rusev's capable of great matches. Titus isn't the worst performer ever, and Rusev does some great heel work. But they don't mesh. There's nothing going on. Once again, it's another case of, do the writers know what they're even doing? And I don't think so. So Rusev needs to be legitimized as the force he was during his previous United States Championship run, which culminated with him losing to Cena at WrestleMania. What could have been a great moment to propel him dwindled once again. So he needs some more legitimizing, plain and simple. A random Titus O'Neil feud with no real story does not do the job. It started off as Titus O'Neil representing the Americans against the evil Russians, Bulgarians, Ukrainians, WWE's typical. He's a foreign guy who talks with a deep voice. Evil. And then it kind of turned into a family dispute. I don't know. The best possible situation for this would be a custody match. And that's definitely not something I want to see. Titus O'Neil got the win by count out. Kind of made Rusev look stupid, honestly. And now Titus O'Neil gets another shot at the United States Championship. Is there going to be a trilogy here as well? Is Titus going to actually pull off a win? I don't think so. I don't think that's best for Rusev, who has more potential in his career, who has more longevity. Titus O'Neil's already pushing 40. He does not need this. Tag team division, bring back the primetime players. Because, like I said, they're not great, but the tag team division is suffering. And those Darren Young segments. I love Sasha Banks. She's my future wife. And I'm just so happy to see her back on TV. For real though, she's a superstar. She is golden. She's absolutely golden in the ring. She's over. She knows what she needs to do. She's so talented, and it's just great to see her back on TV. More, I don't know if there's anyone else I missed more. I love Neville, and Randy Orton. Didn't really miss John Cena. I guess with Roman Reigns, I actually kind of started missing him just a little, but I kind of regretted that as soon as he came back. So Sasha Banks was the one I was missing the most. And my curious question would be, how is Paige, who is now apparently a face all of a sudden, going to be incorporated into Sasha's championship shot? She's there now. Is she Sasha's homie now? Is she her homegirl? Is they going to be? Are they close? They're going to be together while Sasha's running the division after SummerSlam, hopefully. I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised to see this exact same match happen again at Battleground. But it was a solid match. Sasha looked very strong. Paige even looked pretty strong. She held off both Charlotte and Dana Brooke in the ring to get the hot tag, and then she absolutely destroyed Charlotte with that kick. Oh my god, that looked terrifying. So is she back in the championship mix? Possibly in some capacity. I mean, this is obviously between Sasha and Charlotte, but in some way, is she going to be placed back kind of toward the top tier where she belongs? Because Paige is great, I think. We'll see. Like I said, the big takeaway from this, there's a few good things that happened here. New Day segment, the highlight reel, and Sasha. Nothing wrestling-wise really happened, but these three things were great. The only good things to really come out of this Raw, to be completely honest, which gets to the main event. I love AJ Styles. Let's make that known right now. He's the whole reason I got back into wrestling. I watched it basically my entire childhood. I stopped watching from 2010 to 2015. I kept tabs. I did. I made sure I knew what was going on, and I didn't miss CM Punk's glorious run and all these things. I still knew what happened. But when AJ came back, I was like, oh, AJ Styles is in the WWE? Okay, time to start watching again. And I have been. I've bought WWE Network on and off, depending on if I can afford it, just to see AJ Styles for the most part. But and hold on real quick. I like Dean Ambrose. You know, I think the championship looks good on him. He's a good performer for the most part. He's good on the mic. He's very ferocious. But here's his problem. Sometimes that ferociousness resembles more of a saber-toothed tiger trapped in a tar pit. Because sometimes the man puts on some slow matches. Just boring matches, to be completely honest. Dean has his niche, and quality technical wrestling isn't one of them. And this was probably AJ Styles' worst match since he's been in the WWE. It was a bad match. It was a bad mimic. I'm surprised at how bad this was. There's talent in the ring right there, and it was just a lackluster event. Like I said, Ambrose is often slow. I mean, we saw his match with Chris Jericho in the Asylum match, and that it was a 35-minute long match just to build up to one thumbtack spot. And we saw something similar there. It was just slow, and it suffered because of that. Once again, the predictable ending. We're unhappy leaving. We're unhappy with the ending because we know for a fact John Cena is going to come out there and he's going to stop AJ from winning. It's obvious. It was obvious from the first segment. It became even more obvious after AJ's interference in Cena's match. So, unhappy. The only way to correct that, if that is the ending you're going with, the only way to fix that was have Miz's opponent be revealed to be someone that we're happy with, that we can go home and have them win the championship. Have Neville come back and take over that Intercontinental division. That would be great. But that's not what happened. Super predictable, and the whole show, there was no moment that really made this feel better leaving. And if you notice, Cena's punches were terrible on Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson. They were awful. They were some of the fakest looking punches I've ever seen. They were like here. I mean, for real. He's whiffing. And you don't buy that. I know wrestling. We know wrestling's choreographed and scripted. We know this. But that doesn't mean you go out there and make it look that bad. That looked terrible. Cena's scared to connect with the face. The only decent thing out of this entire thing was that Magic Killer on the ramp actually looked pretty painful. The Magic Killer's not a terrifying, it's not a dominant finisher. It's standard. But on the ramp, it looked really good. That was one of the few takeaways. It looked like it hurt. But we know what's going to happen. Don't be surprised next week when it's AJ and Seth against Ambrose and Cena in a tag team match. They make fun of Teddy Long for his tag team matches, but that's literally all this has been, is taking multiple feuds and teaming them together for the past 4 months. The Intercontinental, that whole thing, and then Money in the Bank, and this. Don't be surprised when that's the main event. Overall, I mean, I'm giving this a 3 out of 10 at best, and that's me really focusing on those redeeming qualities. It wasn't good. It unfortunately was just pretty bad, and I'm sad about it. Hopefully next week's better. But overall, be fortunate if you missed it, because nothing major happened. Unless you're a huge Sasha mark, there's nothing here for you. Nothing you couldn't just read and get the same feelings about. Maybe less anger, honestly, from watching it. But bad show. Shame.